Gather round, y'all, it's time for a tale of 12 old men, one of whom will fail to impress his peers cause of a team so stale. It's the wrong way roundabouts. It's the wrong way roundabouts.
What's going on, John?
Not much, Andres. How are we doing today?
Trying to beat this heat, but pretty good overall.
So, Andres, I have bad news. Our Instagram account is banned again, a second time.
Yeah, you told me. So should we just set up a new one?
I'm worried they're going to ban my whole Facebook account now. I've got a whole line of inquiry with Meta's business profile management thing. We'll see what they have to say, but they banned me for evading their identity authenticity protocol. They basically think I have multiple accounts, which I do have multiple accounts, but one of them is the Wrong Way Roundabouts podcast.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. I could create a new one and just start from scratch.
Okay.
Because we're not getting any followers now.
Yeah, but now we got it's the WWRA pod name. That's the only problem. What would you call it at this point?
A1.
From the phone book? That's an idea. So, Andres, we got a new thing this week. You've got to read something.
Yeah, before we continue, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Matt's Exterior Washing. This episode is brought to you by Matt's Exterior Washing, proudly serving Cumming, Alpharetta, and surrounding areas. I know last week they also mentioned Gainesville
which is a shithole.
Buford.
They're making it less of a shithole. I'll say that, right? They're going out there to clean it. So thank you, Matt. You're doing God's work there.
But yeah, no, they do a great job. They live here in the neighborhood. They're your top rated choice for pressure washing, window cleaning, and holiday lighting. As they mentioned, they install lights. So if you're interested in any of that, call the pros at Matt's Exterior Washing. Whether you're prepping your home for summer or just want to boost your curb appeal, to get in touch, visit their website at mattsexteriorwashing.com or call text 770-910-4423. Again, the number is 770-910-4423. You can call or text.
And if it's not obvious, Matt does not think that Gainesville's a shithole. That's just Andres and I.
No. That's just you.
That's just me? Are you sure? I've heard you say some things about Gainesville off air.
Mm-mm. Oh, boy.
So anyway, if you have any prejudices against me because of my feelings on Gainesville, don't hold Matt responsible. Just
or
me.
Hayden.
Or Hayden, yeah. They like Gainesville. They travel there frequently. So what I'd like to do, speaking of Gainesville, we're going to find out if this gentleman has any properties he manages in Gainesville and wants to get the hell off the podcast. I'd like to welcome Todd Earley from Platinum Property Management to the show. Todd, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So what are your feelings on Gainesville?
I like Gainesville. It's all right.
I have a feeling you have to be, you have to tread carefully here.
You're going to find I like a lot of things on this podcast. And I got a boy in Gainesville, Florida. Now, okay. So I got a bulldog, but I also got a gator. So
you got a bulldog and a gator?
And a gator.
So do you do that thing where you have the jersey that's split in two and half of it is UGA and half of it is Florida? Like what happens when they play each other?
You know, we went to the Florida-Georgia game, Georgia-Florida, depending on whose side you're on. And I proudly wore my Dobbs Creek championship basketball T-shirt.
Okay, I don't know who the hell Dobbs Creek is. Where is Dobbs Creek?
Yeah, it's like the Rex.
Was it like an adult basketball league or
something?
No,
it's a kids league, so it was teenage boys, whatnot.
Oh, okay.
If you had been covering the news a few months ago, you'd have seen a big fight, and they basically canceled the league. So we were able to get that T-shirt in there before that. So I support both. My daughter's she's a red coat.
Nice.
And Nate's going to be a sophomore there in Florida. So, and then we got one that just graduated from North. I know your feelings about North Forsyth High School. Shout out to the Raiders. And she's going to Flagler down in St. Augustine. So, nice. Most cities in Georgia I do like.
Okay.
At least in our footprint.
So you got two kids in college and one that's getting ready to get there?
That's right.
Man, that's going to be rough on the Bills there, Todd.
That is right. You're 100% right.
Hopefully, Platinum Properties taking care of you.
I need the sponsorship to pan out.
We're going to see what we can do for you. I wouldn't hold out a lot of hope for your numbers in Gainesville.
Yeah.
But again, I want to disassociate. These are my feelings on Gainesville. Just having been there several times, I don't want to live there. But again, you could help improve that. Much like Matt will clean it. you can keep the properties up to standards over there, and Gainesville could become a great place to live.
That is right. And Matt, if you're listening, you can swing by the office. We could use you.
All right.
There's
awesome.
your first. Your
Referral.
Ed Reed paid off.
Nice.
Yeah, there you
Awesome.
go.
It's like a crossover there.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind here, Todd, tell me a little bit about Platinum, because I was doing some research before you came onto the show, and there's another Early that works there, a guy named Phil Early.
That's right.
I'm going to go ahead and make an educated guess. There's some connection there.
There is. He does about 10% of the work, and I do about 90% of the work. So, yeah, no, he's my brother. We started it together with one other guy way back when, 2008. Stop me if I'm going too deep here. When the real estate market really crashed and people couldn't sell, they were underwater, that sort of thing. So he was actually in a Keller Williams office on the real estate side. I was at GE, corporate GE, doing some finance, and
I see you're officially the CFO
that's right.
for Platinum Property. So you do all the finances and accounting. You're the money guy.
That's right.
And then your brother Phil, he's ops, I'm guessing.
No,
So
he's a sales guy.
just sales. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
That's his 10%. So he relies on us to do the back end stuff. But yeah, we just kind of stepped into it and ran with it, and long hard road. I was telling somebody the other day if I had to do it again, probably not.
It looks like it's worked out pretty well for you. I was checking out the website, and I wasn't sure. I'm like, how big is Platinum Property? But there's like several VPs. There's a whole team in there.
Looking back, we probably managed in the neighborhood of 825 houses.
All in this, like in Georgia, southeast.
Just in Georgia. So our footprint is north of Dahlonega, really south of the airport, Noonan. We've got some outliers, but I always wanted to own my business. I didn't always want to work with my brother, but I think that's kind of God's joke, maybe a little bit to us, but it's worked out.
You guys are based off right near the downtown square of Cumming, right?
Yeah, we're 212 Kelly Mill, so like right there on the edge of the square.
And then is that like an old home that you guys refurbished, or what? How long you been in that location?
So we've been there since 2021, just after like COVID, and but the building was built in 1870 ish. It's hard to pin down the actual date, but Chamber used to be there. The mayor used to be there. I've been down to the Historical Society to kind of check it out and see what I could find out, and there's a lot of history.
Yeah, that location is really nice. That's what I was wondering.
Is
Yeah.
it haunted?
It is haunted.
See,
No joke.
I was only half kidding with that. Some of these weird old buildings in Cumming, there's shit that went on in there. So all right, now I want to know about the haunting of Platinum Property. What have you heard? What have you seen?
So when we bought it, the gal there said, "Hey, by the way, it's haunted," but she said it's all very friendly. When she worked upstairs, she would hear dinner parties down below, that sort of thing, children laughing.
Wow.
And so we were there. We moved in October-ish 21, and it was dark outside. The lights,
Halloween time too.
yeah,
Perfect.
and I remember being there by myself, and I was working. You couldn't see we redid the lights in the parking lots, but I couldn't see my car from my window, and I heard this knock on the front door, and it's some guy saying hello, and I'm like, hello, kind of poked my head around the hallway, looked at the front door, and nobody was there, and I'm like, yikes. Definitely heard it, like for
That's
sure.
wow.
Yeah.
And this was like maybe being a week being there. So, okay, my imagination's probably toying with me a bit. But so I called my wife. She was on the way. I said, hey, you coming over here? And she's like, yeah. I said, hurry. And so she comes over. If you've ever been in the building, again, it was the Chamber of Commerce, but there's a restroom that, the public can use. And so she was in there, and I'm in my office, like right behind there. And she comes out at some point and says, hey, what'd you need? And I said, I've just been sitting here.
So she's hearing things too.
Yeah. So I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? And so she's like, it sounded like somebody walked down the hallway, and it's got, if they're not original, they're 100-year-old floors.
Yeah.
And so she goes, you walked down the hallway and knocked on the door. And I said, I didn't. And she's like, all right, let's pack it up. Let's head out for the night. So I saw the lady who told us about it, and she's like, oh yeah, all the time. And so since then, we've asked the Chamber people, because they were in there, and they talked about pens moving from desks and stuff. And if you're in my office, my brother works right above me, and he's got a couch in there. His office is kind of straight out of the 60s. He's got the old furniture, but you can hear somebody walking in his door, and the ceiling kind of compress, right? You hear that, and then sit in that couch, and it happens all the time.
So, and you said it's all like friendly stuff. Like you guys don't get like it's not eerie. You don't get spooked if it's later and like you're working late.
Yeah, it's weird. Like,
I imagine you're in there late pretty frequently.
yeah, I'm in there all the time. So so at one point, somebody at the chamber said, "Hey, the microwave just turned on," and I said, "Wow, that's interesting. You know, you're just sharing stories as you're doing research." And so I'm in there one night. We have the microwave the same exact spot they had it, the little break room in the back, and the microwave goes off, and I'm the only one in there. And I go, "Hey, you know, anybody here?" Nothing. So I'm like, okay, walk out there. Not only was this is true. Not only was the microwave on, the door was open.
That's creepy.
And I'm like, how does that even happen? So we threw that microwave in the trash for sure. But I hear dog nails down the floor periodically.
Oh, even animal goes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We've heard, there's a lot of smells. Like there's times when I'll smell like a pipe, like an old timey pipe. You just don't smell anymore. So the guy who owned it way back when, I don't know if you guys know the history. I know you're branching out to the Forsyth stuff. Dr. Strickland was his name.
Yeah.
He's buried right across from Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Right. So we went over there kind of as we were doing research, and in my head, I kind of just said, "Hey, we're moving in. We're going to take care of this place. Are we good?" Like after the haunted stuff. So we've not had any problems since. And to me, it's always been kind of cool. Like it's got a really cool feel in there.
So you exorcised the spirits.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe he's like, well, you know what? You change up the wallpaper. That's pretty good. Thanks for that.
You've ruined my plan now, Todd. I was going to propose a Halloween special at the Platinum Property Business House. We could do a live podcast upstairs at midnight on Halloween.
We can still do that.
Do a seance. You think we could make it work?
I think you'd get the feel for sure.
Dr. Strickland's not from Gainesville, right?
No, I don't believe so. He's there's a lot of history with him. He's one of those family names in Forsyth County that if you look around, you'll hear his name.
No, I've seen his name. I just want to make sure I haven't already preemptively offended.
Yeah, he wants to make sure he's not going to come after him.
Okay. No, I'll put in a good word for you.
All right. There, I'm going to take you up on this. We're going to come out. We're going to do a seance at the building in Halloween. Because, Andres, I've been trying to think that we need some sort of Halloween special coming up. There was a lady on one of the Focus on Forsyth Local, whichever one it was. And she was looking for a local exorcist. And I think I told you this. I was so close to being like, I'm your man. The only reason I didn't do it, I felt like that was crossing the line. I'm like, all right, if this lady legitimately thinks she needs an exorcist and this random podcast asshole shows up, I'm being insulting at that point. So I won't do it. But here we have a situation where we have a building with some haunting type activity, friendly, certainly not, outwardly demonic or evil. So maybe we can get something going on. Would you be willing to participate in a Ouija board session?
My kids probably would. I think I have one at the house. I don't know how to use it, but we went to to tack onto that if you wanted. I know they do a cemetery tour, and they.
Oh, they do? Really?
Yeah. Right
downtown?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I never knew that. That would be cool to check out.
So the Historical Society was telling me this, and they gave me basically the script for the people that were doing the tour, and one of them actually is Dr. Strickland, like talking. So, I mean, the connection's right there. It's,
All right.
low-hanging fruit.
Let's get it booked then.
Let's do it.
Platinum Property Seance Halloween edition.
Yeah.
I like it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So Platinum Property, when I was looking through the website, and I don't know if this is common because I don't know the first damn thing about property management, but so obviously you guys will manage properties for landlords, but it looks like you'll also represent the tenants too. So you manage both sides of that relationship?
Yeah, for sure.
That's got to be a nightmare sometimes, Todd.
It's, you got two diametrically opposed, it's a tough thing to manage. We kind of project this idea that we represent both sides. We're fair to both sides, right? When we first started, we had our own, assumptions about landlords and tenants. And then we started doing things and we said, man, those don't really hold water. And at the time we started the business, a lot of landlords were in trouble with their homes. So a lot of things that we found from landlords back in those days, they hadn't paid their mortgage. They couldn't pay their mortgage, right? They're just in a tough spot. And tenants just wanted quiet enjoyment. But yeah, where it gets dicey is when you have to, let's say one of the hardest things we do is with the security deposits, right? Yeah. Somebody will rent a property, they'll move out. Most likely it is not better than they found it, right? So we'll have to go in there and assess the charges, right? And it's not pleasant. We try to preempt that with the tenants and say, hey, we want you to get your money back. Platinum doesn't own any of these houses. Phil owns 2 personally, but these are other owners that we manage for. So that money is the tenant's deposit. But if there's damages or something we have to, then that goes to the owner to cover the cost to repair. And so it's really the best scenario is a tenant leaves that property, in great condition, or general wear and tear is what they call it. And we can give them their full security deposit back. They're happy. The owner is happy because their property is intact and they didn't do any damage. When we have to assess the damage, tenants are usually not happy because they're losing some of that security deposit. And owners, if we don't deduct enough, they're not happy. If we deduct too much from the tenant, they're not happy. And so a lot of times, it's just one of those things where for us, our business model is be reasonable, right? If we can't be reasonable, we have a lease and we have a management agreement. That's the end all kind of capture thing. Typically, we can get people to agree based on our experience, right? We've been doing this a long time. So, and so that's where most of the time, though, I mean, if you're looking at our portfolio of, owners and tenants, 99% are completely agreeable and just, owners want us to protect their investment, and tenants, again, just want the quiet enjoyment. So that's what we try to preach. Anybody, go off on a little bit of a tangent, like our whole thing there, bit of a sales pitch, is when somebody calls in, the only answer is be helpful. We want you to feel like when you call us, like we always say, come in. So like, I think I emailed you guys. Hey,
I remember that.
Come in, and you can catch us. You don't make an appointment. Catch us in a natural state where you can kind of see.
Maybe that's what happened that one night when you moved into the building. You had told a landlord, a tenant, they're like, come on, man, come to the building, come see me. They knocked on the door and you're like, what the fuck? This place is haunted.
My window is on the parking lot, so I can see the comings and goings. And there are times where, you see somebody coming in, you're like, hey, this is gonna be rough. But you're still there. You still handle. To your point, it's a tough business. Again, 99% of the people are fine.
I'll tell you a quick story about the house next door to mine here. So if I think I talked about this on one of the podcasts, the house, if you're looking at the front of mine directly to my right, was raided by Forsyth County SWAT for being an alleged meth house. I want to point out now for our listeners, this was not the Romancos. They're lovely people. It was the previous tenants from that house. But cops came. In the end, it wasn't a drug den. There was some loose association. But those tenants that lived there were there for a few years, and the wife passed away, and the father was there by himself because the kids had grown up and moved out, and he was alone. So the father eventually leaves the house as well. He moved on. And the owners were talking to my wife outside one day as they came to get the house ready for the next people, who are the Romancos. Again, lovely people. I'm sure the house looks great now. But there were like fossilized cats in the basement.
Gee.
Like a cat had died in the basement and had never been cleaned out or attended to whatsoever. So there was like pet remains in the house. There was like sewage backups in there. It was a disaster. Yeah. They said that it was thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to get it into like a habitable state again.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't understand how people live there while this is happening.
I mean, that's one of the things, like we always, joke at work, we're not going to be millionaires doing what we're doing. We're going to write a coffee table book and have all these pictures, and it's always something we say there. It's always something, like we get a call and it's always something.
But like you pointed out earlier, like these are the good stories. 99% of the time it's smooth sailing. You guys have good clients. And yeah.
I mean, we do a good job screening, and again, our just kind of, where we're from, city of good neighbors, right? We respect everybody. You can be super cynical in this business when you're screening tenants or when something goes bad or somebody doesn't pay rent on time. And our message to our folks, and especially the people that handle those roles, is don't be cynical, right? Be skeptical. That's fine. But if you're cynical, you got to move on, because people are inherently, we believe, good, right? For every issue like that, we'll do a property visit. My wife actually does a lot of those, and she'll go in and somebody will make her breakfast and welcome her in there, and we've got some of our tenants. Our report card to our owners is how many renewals we get, right? If your tenants are happy with us, they're going to renew, and some of them have been with us. I mean, we probably have some on the books that have been almost 15 years. Yeah. Owners for sure.
So you mentioned your wife there. This was I stole this from your bio on the website. Now, have you been married for 30 years, or you've just known your wife for 30 years? It got mentioned there.
So, all right, we be close to the edit or the edit button here because I will hear about this. So we've actually been married now 25 years, but we knew each other in high school. So we were in California together, met in high school. So that number's probably closer to 35 now. Maybe longer.
We got to update your bio there.
Yeah, yeah. No. But yeah, we've known each other forever. Married 25 years, though. Yeah.
All right. Know each other for 35 years. Known each other since high school. I'm trying to place your travels across the country. So you're clearly from Buffalo.
Yeah.
Todd, there's that. But then you met your wife in high school in California. You went to school in Colorado.
Yeah.
You ended up down in Alpharetta with GE.
Yeah.
And now you're in Cumming, which is right down the road from Alpharetta, obviously. Yeah. But what's carrying you all over the country?
Honestly, IBM. My dad was an IBMer.
Oh, okay.
So born and raised in Buffalo. That's where I consider to be my roots. Like born and raised, I'll always love Buffalo for sure. And then we actually moved to Georgia in 1982, 83-ish for, quick big. We were in Roswell. Shout out to Crabapple Middle School. I went there for a few months. Then California, Connecticut, Danbury. Don't recommend. And then, back to California. So when we moved out to Danbury, I was a junior in high school.
You must have been pissed at your dad. Yeah. He moved you in your junior year of high school? Come on, Dad.
If he's listening, I have not talked about that, but probably need to bring that up. But so then he moves to Colorado. Like I'm about to be a senior. So I remember going out there to Colorado, and he's like, hey, go up the road. There's, you're going to be going to this high school, go check in or go fill out some paperwork, whatever. My parents are kind of, they raised us to be kind of independent. So I was like, I'm just not doing that. Like, no, man, I'm 17. And
this is in Danbury.
This was in, we were leaving Danbury, but I was in school in Danbury. I started maybe a week my senior year. They got transferred to Denver.
And you left your senior year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But my freshman year was new at California because I left here. And then, matter of fact, when I went to California, I didn't know anybody, right? Starting a new
What part of California?
Fresno. So, yeah. There you go. Good response, right? Appropriate response.
San Diego, LA, and the Bay are awesome, but if you go inland, it's like
So I didn't know anybody there starting school, and the only sweatshirt I had for PE was a Georgia Bulldog sweatshirt. So for 2 years, I was Georgia. That was what they called me, PE Georgia. But then when he got transferred to Denver, I was 17, and I said, I think I'm just going to get in my car and drive, and I'll finish out in California. And I knew Meredith then, my wife. Yeah. So that was obviously a draw. My friends were out there. I remember when I flew out, left there, they were all at the airport as the gate back in the day when you could do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And the door shut, and so they handed the flight attendant all these napkins. So I was like, I just really miss those guys. So I kind of, I tell my kids, or it's part of my story, I'm like, I was kind of homeless because I just drove out there. I was like, I'll figure it out. And so I ended up graduating there at the same high school I started. Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
And then stuck with your wife since then.
So she went to, we applied to the same schools in California. So Santa Barbara is where she ended up.
Yeah.
And I don't know, last second, I just, maybe it was one of those things where I wanted to kind of get back to my folks. I maybe felt guilty leaving them early or something. I don't know. So I ended up, Colorado was great. I don't regret it. Like I went to University of Colorado, best 4 years of my life for sure. We went to.
So this was what? So what year were you there?
89 is when I graduated.
So when they won the Natty?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So I have that. Yeah, for sure. And then she graduated, taught English in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And then my sister was still out here from the first time we lived here. She went to Georgia, right? And so my brother and I kind of came out here. At the time, I think there was a lot of good opportunities, stuff, the Olympics, prior to that. So this
is your fault, Todd. You brought up University of Colorado. Your boy Shedeur Sanders. Yeah. What's going to happen this year? That dude's a handful.
If he wasn't our guy, I would probably have a different impression of him, but like I watched him, like Travis Hunter, I watched him too. Like if you for 1 second don't think that guy was the Heisman, like I watched those games and I watched the games before. So, when we were 1-11, I'm telling you, that's the worst football I have ever seen in the history of my life. So when Deion came, I thought, okay, he's going to come get his D1 job and then he'll move on for sure. We don't have the money out there alum-wise. And so with Shedeur, if you don't know him and you just see the clips, I would just say follow him on like social media, like follow him on Instagram, because you can see. My thing on him is he's a good quarterback. He took a lot of sacks, but I think that just our O-line was really bad. And when you're watching, I'm the type that in the moment, if they're really good, I'm like, this guy's great. But when he gets sacked, I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like you're the worst, right? but I try not to do that because my boy thinks I'm a hater. But I'm like, so you're watching the games, and I think it's like daddy ball to the millionth degree, right? But then you dig a little deeper and you see what Deion says or Prime says, and then you see him on social media, and I give him a little bit more credit. I genuinely think that those boys grew up with this, so it doesn't faze them as much. I think he's going to be hugely successful. I'd take any of you guys to draft him late. You're going to get him late in your fantasy football. I would say take him.
If I get an opportunity to take him late, I would throw a late draft pick on Shedeur. But right now, I think technically he's 3 in the depth chart, right?
I don't even know who does Cleveland. I don't even they cycle through so many quarterbacks. I don't even know.
Joe Flacco's the starting quarterback right now.
He won't be the starter when the season starts.
And then they drafted a guy before Shedeur. That was like the big controversy, is that Cleveland had taken a quarterback already in the draft and then took Shedeur in whatever it was, 5th round.
The kid from Oregon went before him, and then they still have Watson, right?
Okay. I don't think he's ever played.
Yeah, no, I don't. But I just think Shedeur knows the game, like his background, like he after a certain point during the draft, you're like, why doesn't every team take this guy as a second or third? Like,
there was a
why didn't the Bills take
it.
him?
I think it's at a certain point in the draft, Shedeur was overhyped. I don't think he was ever a consensus number 1 or even necessarily a first round. But when you drop as far as Shedeur did, I think that there was a nod and a wink, gentleman's agreement, whatever. There was a message being sent that like, hey, we're not going to let these new NIL millionaires come out and run the NFL. It's different here. So I think that became a part of it.
And I always wondered if you're a coach and a GM looking to take those guys, because I mean, the Giants, those guys have got to be on the hot seat. I mean, those guys are old Buffalo guys. Cleveland for sure, they're always on the hot seat. And I think that in my head, I'm thinking you got to be thinking Deion is gonna want a head coach job somewhere. And you hear, he'd have been a perfect fit in New York. Yeah. Right. But they're sticking him with those guys or Dallas for sure. Like, oh my gosh, that would have been I think a perfect fit. So, if you're drafting him and then you think maybe maybe Prime's coming. Yeah. I could see where, you probably shy away from that. Plus I think a lot of, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think he probably wasn't prepared. He probably was cocky. Like, I mean, that's not lost on these guys.
No, I agree with you. He will be successful. He's clearly a talented athlete, and I think he will play this season because the Browns are the Browns. They will have a shitty year probably, but certainly a shitty start to the season. The calls are going to come quickly. Deion can't stay out of the media, so he's going to comment on the stories. Yeah. He's going to throw Shedeur out there as a possible solution. And the fans are going to want to see him, right? I mean, he's a star. So I think we'll see Shedeur play this season.
Speaking of good quarterbacks, your boy Josh Allen.
Yes.
You think he's going to get the ring soon?
Yeah, 100%. You asked me about the Bills and the Sabres. I'm going to tell you it's Super Bowl and the Sabres are horrible, right? But Stanley Cup. So I think what he did last year, right? Prior to, and of course I follow him, but to me, Diggs was the problem.
Yeah.
And so when you can throw to anybody, it makes it so much easier. And I think we upgraded even this offseason. So we had guys like Mac Hollins who played way better than people thought he would. And some of the Cooper didn't catch a lot of balls, but he was a team guy. That's kind of Buffalo's deal. Like if you're a team guy, like the system works. If you're a diva, marriage too, like he's got that.
Yeah.
The smoke show of a wife.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
Queen of Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, he's so much fun to watch too. Even as like a neutral, like just watching, he just trucks people. Yeah. Like he could take off. Yeah. He does it all.
Yeah. So you're Falcons, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm out of Atlanta. I'm not like a diehard. Like, and the Falcons are 4-10. I won't go crazy, but yeah, they're my team.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope the Falcons win. I'm a Georgia boy, ultimately. Been here 30 years. So I would like the Falcons to do well, but I'm not a huge NFL guy. I watch, as you can see, I got the soccer around here. I was actually born in England, so family are big Liverpool fans. But yeah, certainly I root for the Falcons. I root for Georgia. I always hope that they do well. But if they don't, I don't really care.
Yeah, I went to UGA, so I like college football more than NFL, but I like NFL too. But yeah, Bulldogs, and then soccer is also my favorite sport. So those two. But yeah, like Braves, Falcons, Hawks. I haven't watched basketball in years. I tried to watch that Game 7 Sunday, and that was plotting. Even that game was like.
It seemed like, that series was like Game 40 in a regular season, like those two teams. But, so I stick to my two are football and hockey typically, but the Bills are coming here, so excited. Monday night. It'll be a Monday night game.
Nice.
You gonna go to the game?
Oh, 100%.
You're gonna be in the Platinum Property Suite up there?
Hey, you know what? If we get one, we'll invite you boys.
All right.
Oh, nice.
But we can't be wearing any Falcons gear. Like we gotta wear something neutral.
I'll wear a Josh Allen jersey.
Oh, okay. There you go. I had a guy who worked for me, and we went to when the Thrashers were here. We'd only go to the Sabres games, and I told him, I said, man, I watched the Sabres game on like back in the day, like DirecTV, the sports package, and I said the local Buffalo channel will pick out a guy wearing a Sabres jersey, right? So he was like, oh, I'll wear that all day long. And so, we got him in Sabres gear and this and that.
Nice.
So, we'll put you guys in some Josh Allen jerseys.
I think we talked about this briefly in the email exchange. I drafted Josh Allen with my first overall pick.
Yeah.
And these guys, Andres over here included, said I was nuts and it was a bad idea. And we also
I'm surprised you came on the pod after learning that fact.
No, I did question the trade, but and you made a good point. But that's how I am when I play. I'm easy to draft against. If you're behind me, I'm not taking any AFC East guy. I'm not taking Tyreek Hill. I'm not taking any guy that I got to cheer for. I take only Bills guys. I'm taking James Cook. I'm taking Jim Kelly. My strategy is first pick, whatever it is, because I know I'm going to get him, Josh Allen. I don't care where I'm picking in that top because nobody's taking him first round. Maybe now, I guess. Where did he go? And did you take him first round?
I took him first round.
What pick was it?
I think I was the 11th pick.
I was like, it was like right at the turn at first. Okay. But he goes quick. He goes fast.
And then I always take the best tight end with my second pick.
So who'd you pick last season? Kelsey.
I did take Kelsey, which didn't pan out, obviously. But
yeah, he had a rough season.
2 years prior, like the last, it was like back in the day.
How'd you do in the league?
Second.
Okay.
Oh, you lost in the championship game? Like him?
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Well, so 2 years ago, I had Josh Allen, and I was that the Cincinnati game, whenever that was 2-3 years ago. Hamlin goes down. And
it was 2 seasons ago. Yeah.
And so, that game was going to decide the championship, literally. And
that happened in our league.
Yeah. So I said, you gotta let us go into week 17, or that's crazy. And the other guy didn't have anybody on either team, so I'm like, this is like a once in a million.
It was Josh Allen. It was
Burrow.
Yeah.
Chase and
all those receivers
Higgins,
for the band.
Yeah, it was crazy. So
we ended up doing a simulation on PlayStation.
Yeah, so I take that back. So last year I did not play in that league as a protest to that. I was like, I'm not doing that. That's crazy.
Are you a former champion? Have you won?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How long has your league been running?
I've been in a bunch of different ones. The GE League was the best because those guys were just like you guys, like always talking about it. Always, back when it was like, the chat was so remedial. Like I forget how we trash talked.
Yeah.
You just go into the office and bag on a guy in person right to his face. But then last couple of seasons, it was a neighborhood guy and his girls were in it and some kids, but I didn't know anybody. So there was no trash talk. Him and I would go back a little bit. He's a big Niner guy, but
he just did like the soft, like the golf clap. Good
yeah.
job.
And you guys talking about moving the kids in, like I won that league because I would follow the girls on the waiver wire.
Yeah.
And they would drop T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, all these guys, because they'd have a bad game. And I'd be like, I'll take them. So by the end of the season, I had the most all-star team you could even have. And I remember talking to him. I'm like, these girls live in your house, man. Tell them not to do that. And he's the commissioner. And I wasn't even, the way they were doing it was a free-for-all. You could, whoever claimed them first, it wasn't based on record. Yeah. So I just go in there on a Monday morning or Tuesday morning and I'll take him. So yeah, it wasn't it was like playing a video game on super easy. It was kind of like, this isn't great.
Todd just dominating the kids.
Yeah.
league.
Yeah.
So, Andres, I got to ask about rules in our fantasy football league. Now, Todd doesn't live in Thorngate, but manages several properties. Is he eligible for the Wrong Way Roundabouts Fantasy Football League?
I'd have to go to the commish. We have to discuss
that.
But that would be two sponsors in the row that would get in the queue then.
Plus Jeff Ciavone. They could
Well, I'm
start.
talking about even Matt last week. He wanted to get in the wait list.
Oh, I know. But we'll have Matt, Todd,
Well,
Jeff.
Jeff has to purchase 1 square foot of your yard first. Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm not selling you a square foot of my yard. You can buy some from Andres. But Todd, there may be a loophole here. You are the manager of several Thorngate houses. So I think that qualifies.
Like, maybe grandfather. You know what, you guys, with the kids discussion, I love that idea, that relegation, like that. To me, that's the punishment, right? But I agree with the chat. The chat gets dicey. So maybe you do the main league and then this wait list of B players, because you don't know, like these people on a wait list, right? You don't know if they're any good because they haven't been in the league, right?
Or if
you
they're
guys
going to take it seriously.
Yeah.
This helps show that they will.
Yeah, and then same thing, and then you relegate them to the kids league, because if they're not taking it seriously, the chat for the kids is probably going to be pretty safe.
Yeah.
But
I don't even think the kids have a chat, but I get your point.
My son tries to start shit talking, right? He's doing his dad proud. He tries to get in there and kind of stir some shit with the other kids, but the rest of the kids are very polite. They don't take the bait.
yeah, I got to be honest. I'm talking a big game now. I can't do that. Like I try to be polite.
I don't know if I believe you. I bet you can talk some shit, Todd. I think that you can adapt to the situation.
If my wife was right there, she'd be like, "Okay, yeah, you're right." But if my kids are listening, I got to be. But I love that idea, like that relegation. That to me is genius. Like,
See?
dump them. But what I like about you guys and listening to the earlier episodes was that you guys will see each other at the pool, and you're always kind of in close contact, and you got a good bunch that, all buying in, that sort of thing. That's huge, right?
Yeah.
But I also agree with raising the pot. I mean, that makes it even.
Keep raising the stakes.
We have in our building, so we have a back building. I don't know if you guys have seen it from the road. That's
Yeah,
an
you can
event.
see it driving by when you
So there's a mug in there with West Maple Events, and that's our kind of event center. People have birthdays and graduation parties, and that's.
Oh, is that with the string lights? That area?
No, that we're the next door.
Oh, okay.
So we have them. We have lights in our garage. So there's like a middle garage. There's 2 garages on our property, and the one has 3 big TVs in it, and that's where we watch football. So I'll throw that out. You guys can have that anytime you want it.
Oh my God.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. There's
Wow.
It's like an open air kind of place you can eat. There's tables in there. There's chairs. But yeah, 3 TVs, 2 big ones, and then kind of a little one where we put the Falcons.
Because we're talking about doing each year we do the draft. Somebody wants to host the draft. This year, talking about doing agriculture. Yeah. But that spot sounds amazing.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can rough it up. You won't damage anything. You can spill. You just have fun with it. But yeah, it's right there.
All right, guys, if you're listening, which I know you are, think about it. That sounds awesome.
There's a big Bills logo in there, so you gotta, any Bills fans in the.
There's one guy that's kind of like his second team. He is hardcore Falcons, but then he really likes the Bills, like the blue collar mentality and all that.
I feel like the Bills are everybody's second team. Does anybody dislike?
No,
the Bills?
nobody dislikes I'm saying, but like there's second.
I'm talking about even like America. Like last year when the Bills were in it, right?
Probably if you're in New England.
Well, right. There's gonna be division rivals, but when it came down to the AFC Championship game, the only people rooting for Kansas City were from
Missouri,
Kansas City. Yeah, everybody was going for the Bills. I think everybody loves Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a story of like someone who was an underdog? I know that's kind of oversimplifying it, but
Well, he was underlooked big time from Wyoming. Yeah.
Comes a league phenom, has an absolute smoke show of a wife.
Yeah, he's something else. He's the biggest person in probably Buffalo's history. Like it's crazy.
Already more than Jim Kelly.
Oh, for sure. And I think Jim Kelly loves him. So I mean,
No, but he went to the 4 Super Bowls and.
But Jim Kelly, if you remember, he got drafted by the Bills, and he hated Buffalo. He hated the city. He hated the weather, and he went to the USFL. Oh, okay. And then he came later, and like they've got him on news programs where he's like, I do not want to go there. And then once he came and saw the people in Buffalo are again, city of good neighbors. They're just, anywhere anywhere you go with a Bills hat, like people say, "Go Bills!" Like it doesn't matter. We go to Disney World, "Go Bills!" Like you just hear random people. And so when my kids were little, they're like, "How do they know to say that?" And I'm like, "That's like saying hello. Like that's what you say.
Yeah.
Like go Bills, go Sabres, whatever it is." So, but no, they love him up there. They love the Bills. There's not much up there other than the Bills and the Sabres and the food.
So how long did it take the city to warm up to Jim Kelly? Like after that first trip to the Super Bowl, or then it was a little dicey?
Yeah, I mean, it was winning cures everything. We were horrible prior to that as well. And then he added Thurman. If you think about my generation, the Mount Rushmore, it's Thurman and Jim and Bruce Smith and Andre Reed probably. And so those guys, once you go to 4 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
It's just like legend type of thing. But I think all those guys want to see Josh succeed, and I think they want us to win. And we got the new stadium next year. I actually put in for season tickets for the stadium deposit, so we'll see what happens with that. But brand new stadium, it's gonna be good. They're gonna kick off the old stadium, kind of shut it down this year. So that's something to think about.
Do you think it's a good idea they kept it open air, or would you prefer to see like a roof?
The thing with Buffalo is the wind. If you're watching a game, sometimes you'll see the field goal with the flags, and they'll be going opposite directions.
Yeah, the swirling.
Yeah. And so we know where to throw it. So when we drafted Josh, I mean, you got to remember that it was like Baker Mayfield, the other Josh, and so I remember watching him at the combine. I'm like, this guy's got such a cannon.
He does.
Like you need that in Buffalo. We never had that. We had. I mean, we're like Cleveland. We had so many of those guys with such a weak arm, but Josh knows exactly where to throw it in that wind. And so, same thing. They've alluded to this idea that they're going to have some advantage based on the open air outside of just the snow and whatnot. It's kind of like Miami when we go down there, and you're on that visitor side in that heat on a 1 o'clock Sunday game. It's like that. Like we're going to have something to it. So
a lot of discussion about Buffalo, guys. So this is probably a good time for me to segue into something. So, Todd, I don't know if you know this, but Andres over here fancies himself quite the trivia buff.
Yeah, okay.
He goes to a lot of trivia places, Black Diamond Grill, summits, and you're quite good at it, Andres.
Well, you sir.
I do okay. So I got a little something for you guys. We're going to see.
This is the John Black special. I was pulling out a surprise quiz.
We're going to see who does better in...
Oh, geez. Yeah, if I lose, I can't go back.
That's right, gentlemen. We have Buffalo-themed Jeopardy here, guys. So we have 4 categories. I know there's normally 5 categories in Jeopardy, but A, for timing purposes on the show, and also because I didn't know enough about Buffalo to come up with a 5th category, we're going to go with 4 here.
We're going to answer all these?
I mean, it's going to be a real game here. We're going to do the score. Don't worry. Through the editing, the magic of editing, I'm going to edit that to make it sound like I didn't just fuck that up. Through the magic of editing, I'm going to make this a very quick segment, Andres. But our 4 categories are Buffalo Bites. So it will be about food, Buffalo cuisine. This place is Erie. There's going to be notable locations around the Buffalo area. The pride of Buffalo is going to be about politicians, important, notable people in Buffalo. And then notable names will be about non-political, important people in Buffalo. Any questions so far, guys?
I'm actually kind of scared.
All right.
I do claim to be a Buffalo expert. I'm super proud of that city, but
I don't know much about Buffalo.
I think it's only fair if we let our guest go first. He can have control of the board to start.
Absolutely.
So, Todd, give us a category and an amount, please, sir.
Let's go notable names for 100.
This U.S. president was assassinated in Buffalo at the Pan American Expo by Leon Kolgos. Todd?
I'm going to go McKinley.
Now,
I'm sorry.
our first controversy of the game.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. Okay.
You did not phrase
yeah.
your answer in the form of a question. I'm going to let this go with a warning this one time, Todd.
All right.
But you are correct. It was William McKinley. Good job. Todd gets $100.
Oh, this is the fake dollars, right?
Todd, you still have control of the board, sir.
Let's go Pride of Buffalo for 200.
The Buffalo Bills lost this many consecutive Super Bowls in the 1990s.
It was
Todd, your answer, sir.
technically fake news, but I'll go 4.
So he didn't phrase it in the form of a question.
Jeez, yeah.
I'm joking. We'll give it to him.
Todd, you're really pushing the limits here. Next time,
As a guest.
there's your second warning.
All right.
But you are correct, sir. It was 4 consecutive Super Bowls. That had to hurt.
you programmed it so that it automatically adds what?
Yeah, I just noticed that.
That's impressive.
That's
impressive.
really good.
For the audience, for the listeners.
Yeah.
I wish I could take credit. This is somebody else's Jeopardy website. I did not program this. They made it very easy to use. Now, Todd, were you in Buffalo when they lost 4 consecutive Super Bowls?
And one, I was definitely at college because my roommate was a Giants fan, the first one. And we were in a furnished apartment and we were both sitting on the top of this couch, like right up there where that blanket is. And as Norwood was kicking and wide right. And I would just remember furnished apartment, grabbing the closest thing to me, which happened to be a lamp, and just whoosh, and my roommate going, "You're paying for that."
Did you pay for the lamp?
I don't know that they charged us for it, but I probably did. It was worth it.
Would Platinum have let that go? Have they inspected the apartment after you would have caught the broken
You
lamp?
definitely would have hit me for the lamp, yeah. So,
It was 4 consecutive Super Bowls. Todd, you were still in control of the board.
all right, let's go food. Let's go Buffalo Bites for 300.
This Buffalo restaurant claims to have invented the buffalo wing. Todd again.
What is the Anchor Bar?
That is correct, sir.
He finally says it. If I have a question, you just put Anchor Bar.
Yeah, well, that one's on me. I messed that one up. For our listeners who are not viewing the video for this, Todd is up $600 and Andres is being absolutely skunked. He hasn't even attempted to answer a question.
I attempted one.
Yeah, he was. In a
Yeah, but it was a cheating attempt. Todd, still in control of the board.
The place is Erie, 400.
This Buffalo suburb is home to the university at Buffalo's North Campus and is one of the most populous towns in Western New York. I think that was Todd.
No,
first.
I think it was him. He looked at me when he collected, so I'll give him that.
All right, Andres.
I think this is probably wrong about Rochester. What is Rochester? Oh, well, why didn't you give him a chance?
I would have said Amherst.
See?
All right, well then he gets the money. I was on the host on that one. All right, Andres is now losing $1,000 to nothing, and Todd still in control of the board.
All right, Andres, we're going to try to catch you up here.
Don't feel bad for me. He's this on purpose.
We'll go Buffalo Bites for 500.
This sweet custard-filled pastry from Buffalo's Polish community is traditionally served on Fat Tuesday. No takers? No buzzers on this? All right. The answer was punchki.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, I didn't know
What
that.
is punchki? You've never heard of that one, Todd?
No, I did not. No.
I've never heard of that.
Blame ChatGPT for this. I
No.
need a lot of help coming up
Definitely-
with Buffalo questions.
Definitely big Polish community. Definitely had my share of pierogies. Okay, how about the Pride of Buffalo for 400?
This professional basketball team played in Buffalo during the 1970s before relocating to California in 1978 and ultimately becoming the Los Angeles Clippers. Todd?
This is why my favorite team is the Clippers, who are the Buffalo Braves.
Oof.
That is correct, sir. Todd, that puts you at $1,400. You were killing Andres, and your knowledge of Buffalo is unmatched.
How about notable names for 400?
This U.S. president made a name for himself in Buffalo, starting out as Erie County Sheriff, then mayor of Buffalo before becoming New York governor. He then won 2 consecutive terms as U.S. president.
I'm gonna guess this came up. I think this guy's house came up on the market like last week, but I'm gonna guess Grover Cleveland. But that's a complete guess. Oh, there you go. Oh, jeez, there you go.
Todd takes it again. It was Grover Cleveland.
His house actually came up. It's listed for sale right now.
Are you going to try to manage it?
Oh, that'd be a good
That'd be
idea. Right?
awesome.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Andres, just again reminding you, you are allowed to buzz in, sir.
Oh, thanks.
Todd, you have control of the board.
All right, let's Andres. Food. You want to go Buffalo Bites for 400?
This neighborhood institution, open since 1927, is famous for its charcoal grilled hot dogs and retro curb service. All right, Andres, he figured out how the button works.
What is Sonic?
Oh,
That is incorrect. Todd,
I'm gonna go with what is Ted's.
Ted's hot dogs. Correct again, sir.
Is that nationwide? I've never heard of Ted's hot dogs.
No, it is not.
Oh,
nationwide.
okay.
Yeah, no.
Did you know this one, John?
No, I didn't know any of these. But I can tell you it's all about Buffalo, so I wouldn't have guessed Sonic.
These are good questions. How about the Pride of Buffalo for 500? And I'm gonna preempt this with who is Josh Allen.
This Buffalo
Oh,
Sabres
gosh.
player scored 5 goals in a game on December 7th, 2022, tying the franchise record for most goals in a single game. Todd?
Also, somewhat of a guess, and this might have changed recently, but I'm going to say Tage Thompson.
It is Tage Thompson.
Okay.
Very good, sir.
I may have clinched based
Oh,
on
yeah,
where,
easily.
where the board is. All right, how about Buffalo Bites for 100?
Buffalonians will fight. Is that even the correct term? Are you guys known
That
as
is, yeah.
Buffalonians?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Or like Buffalites. Or anything.
Buffalonians,
Buffalonians. Buffalonians will fight you over this wing dipping sauce, insisting it is the only correct choice.
If you get this wrong, we may fight.
What is blue cheese?
There you go.
Andres is correct. It is not a complete shutout. Well done, sir. That's going to make you eligible for Final Jeopardy by having some money here. Andres, you have control of the board, sir. That means you get to pick one of the topics in an amount.
All right. This place is Erie for 100.
This Great Lake borders Buffalo and helps fuel its infamous lake effect snow.
What is Lake Erie?
It is Lake Erie. I just want to point out again for our listeners who are not on video right now, Todd is straight up letting Andres buzz in because he feels terrible for him. Andres, you have the board, sir.
Erie 200. This place is Erie 200.
This famous waterway, completed in 1825, helped Buffalo boom by linking the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. That's Todd.
I'm going to go Erie Canal.
It was indeed the Erie Canal. Todd, your final warning, sir. You must phrase your responses in the form of a question.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. Let's go notable names for 500.
This classic kids' toy company was founded in nearby East Aurora, New York. It remained in the Buffalo suburbs even after being acquired by Mattel for $1 billion in 1993. Definitely Todd.
What is Fisher Price?
Very good. Todd, I'm starting to think you really are from Buffalo.
I'm glad you put this on there so people can see I'm not a phony.
You have the board, sir.
Let's do notable names for 300.
This famous architect designed over a dozen buildings in Buffalo, including the Martin House and the Larkin Administration Building. Oh, Andres. Andres is alive.
Who is Frank Lloyd Wright?
Oh, good one.
That is correct, Andres. Well done. He's back in there. It is 500, Andres, to 2,900, Todd. Anything is possible. Andres, you have the board, sir.
Pride of Buffalo 100.
Who holds the Buffalo Bills franchise record for most rushing yards in a single season? Todd?
Not super proud of this, but I think it's OJ. Who is OJ?
It is O.J. Simpson. He holds several other records, too. None of them good. Todd, the board, sir. Where would you like to go next?
Let's close out Buffalo Bites.
Buffalo Bites for 200. This sandwich piles rare roast beef on a kummelvik roll and is usually served with horseradish and au jus. Todd?
There's actually a place in town that serves this, and I highly recommend it if you guys have not tried it. It's what is beef on weck.
Look, and he even got the phrasing correct. That is correct, sir. Where's this place in town?
Medlock Tavern, for sure.
Oh, that's over in Peachtree Corners.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's by my office.
It's a Bill's place.
But is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They try to serve it at Taco Mac, and that's a no-go.
Todd, there are 4 questions left, and you have control of the board.
Pride of Buffalo for 300.
This Bills running back was featured on the cover of Tecmo Super Bowl in 1991. That was clearly Todd.
Who is Thurman Thomas?
That is correct, sir. Well done.
As I'm sitting here, I just got to tell you guys, I think you might be losing listeners.
I thought Andres was going to keep this more competitive. A lot of these are Tecmo Super Bowl. You don't have to be from Buffalo to know that one.
Yeah.
Todd, where would you like to go next, sir?
Let's close out the notable names for 200.
This U.S. president took his oath of office in the library of a friend's house. Despite taking his oath in a library, the president curiously chose not to swear his oath on any book. I realize now I did a terrible job of phrasing this question. This was in Buffalo, in case that wasn't clear. In fact, if you guys haven't picked up on it, all of these questions are actually related to Buffalo. So, and Andres, I'm even going to help you at this point. I'm still going to offer you the help even though you buzzed in. Remember, we just talked about a U.S. president that was assassinated in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a link there.
Who is McKinley?
There you go.
No, it was not William McKinley. Todd, do you have a guesser?
No, I was going to say William, unless it's Grover Cleveland.
It was.
I was
Teddy
going to say
Roosevelt.
TR. You threw me off with your fake clue.
Well, he succeeded.
Yeah.
William McKinley. So, I mean, it wasn't a fake clue. It was a real clue.
Oh, that's a good, I didn't think of that.
McKinley was assassinated in Buffalo.
So he took over because he was the VP.
Yeah, and Teddy came in and he swore in his oath of office in like some lady's house in Buffalo. And it was in a library, and they said they didn't have a Bible in the library. I thought that was interesting. And our final Buffalo question. This place is eerie for 500. Buffalo's radial street design was created by this city planner who also surveyed Washington, D.C. Todd?
I'm going to go with who was Josh Allen.
It was not Josh Allen. Andres, do you care to venture a guess here?
I think it was like a former slave.
It was not a former slave.
Oh.
It was a prominent white man who surveyed Washington, D.C. for General Washington. Joseph Ellicott.
Oh, never heard of
That
her.
one's a deep pull.
Never heard of
I
her.
would have been surprised if either. It was the $500 question there. There is a final Jeopardy question, but Andres, you're out of it. Todd would have to be really dumb to lose at this point. So I'm not going to ask you guys to wager, but I will read it. And I'm pretty sure that Todd's going to know this. I'm actually more curious if you know this, Andres. This kicker famously missed the game-winning field goal by kicking it wide right in Super Bowl 25.
You just said it like 10 minutes ago, 12 minutes ago.
I'm gonna require the first name,
I don't
and
know.
it has to be.
I
answered.
forgot. I already forgot. I know he said it. So
Todd,
Hey, who is Scott Norwood?
got it. Is that's ingrained in your memory at this point?
Followed by me smashing a lamp.
Here's an interesting fact. It was his longest ever attempt at a field goal. He missed it. You want to know how long the field goal attempt was, Andres?
53 yards.
47 yards.
That was his longest ever
Yeah.
in his career?
That was his longest ever attempt. I don't know what his longest ever successful field goal was.
Well, it would have been, yeah, but that's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to call it a chip shot, but that's eminently
That's
achievable
almost
by
automatic
today's
these days in
kickers.
the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think Scott Norwood's at these days, Todd?
You know,
Is
I
he
think he lives in Buffalo. I think when it happened, like Buffalo people, they embraced them, right? They when they had the parade, I think for the championship, I think, they were, made sure he. I mean, it just recently happened with Bass, right, when against Kansas City, and nowadays, Bills Mafia. You guys actually have some Bills Mafia koozies in here. I don't know if you scoped on the merch, so I hope you probably use those. But Bills Mafia will donate to all those causes, and I think Bass missed one against Kansas City, and at the time he was sponsoring or he was involved with a cat shelter. So Bills Mafia donated quite a bit for that, but they support him. But you always got those yahoos that are going to trash him.
Good on you, Bills Mafia, and good on you, Todd Earley. You whooped Andres' ass. $3,500 to $500 in there. You are a legitimate, genuine Buffalo fan.
Yes,
Buffalonian, 100%.
Yeah, you're a Buffalonian.
proud Buffalonian.
So you will not eat your wings with ranch dressing then?
I will not, and I will probably stab you with a fork if I see you order it.
All right, we're moving on, gentlemen, on to neighborhood and then local news. And we'll try to keep it light on the national news because we've been running along, but I've been having a good time. Hopefully you guys are too. Once again, Andres, there's not a tremendous amount going on in the neighborhood.
I think I jinxed it. Last week I said, it's the coming for the storm. Nope, it's just nothing's been going on like you were saying.
Well, I will say I'm ducking Sean Bausman.
What do you mean by that? You're ducking him?
So the table after our show
Right.
last week with Matt's Exterior Washington, I had pitched the idea that I was going to take Sean's plague table and we were going to have Matt and Hayden pressure wash the table.
I thought you were being facetious. Like, can you clean this? And they're like, yeah, I think so.
No, I was absolutely going to do it.
They said the last thing they want to do when they get off pressure washing is to keep pressure washing.
Look, Hayden and I were going to tape the video. You and Matt were not going to be there. We're going to start our YouTube channel. We were going to become our own social media phenomenon. It was real, but now Sean's ruined it because he cleaned the table. But the worst part of it is I had sent that message in the chat to Sean saying, hey, if you haven't got rid of that table yet, keep it because we need it. So then what does Sean do? Because he's a nice guy. He cleans the goddamn table for me. So I'm like, I don't need a clean table.
So where is it now? It's on his driveway, right?
It's still at his house, and he's been texting me like, John, are you getting this table? And I'm just like, silent. I'm not responding to this. So, Sean, if you can, whatever you did that caused the table to become so disgusting in the first place, if you could redo it, then I'll take the table. But I don't need a clean table.
I think Sean's on the same subscriber list as Chris Lipp. He has no idea we're doing this.
All right, well, I'll tag him on this one because I don't need his clean table. Other than that, Mary Beth Brandon is asking for pickleball courts in the neighborhood, but we do have pickleball, or we have a pickleball court in the neighborhood. So Is she asking for like that court 3 to be converted into like 2 pickleball courts? I'm not really sure what she's looking for out of that.
She wants the basketball court to become 2 pickleball courts.
But the
So like a multi-use court for 2 sports. They can still shoot hoops and they can play pickleball.
what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I like having the basketball court. I don't really.
I
care.
like. Well, you can still reserve it. Like you can reserve the tennis courts.
Okay.
And then I think even like Gustavo's on board. I think the Teagues were on board. TJ. I think it's a great idea.
We've got a subject matter expert here. So if you're looking to bring tenants into a property, what is more attractive, a basketball court or multiple pickleball courts, Todd?
But you can keep the hoops up, so you can keep both sports.
I don't know. Is it going to get confusing with all the pickleball markings on there?
I don't think so.
I think nowadays, yeah, pickleball's on fire.
Yeah. So you think if you had, I mean, you could keep both. But if you had to pick one, you go with pickleball.
Yeah, our neighborhood did a similar thing. They basically converted a couple of the tennis courts to pickleball and left the basketball.
Where is your neighborhood?
Hampton,
Hampton. Which one is Hampton?
How like the 17 up there, right?
just north, there's a golf course in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the one with the
yeah.
golf course. You got like a library.
Yeah,
said
right.
library?
in there too.
Yeah, right.
I said library.
Yeah, right outside there, yeah.
Yeah, you know you live in a fancy neighborhood when there's a library inside the neighborhood. That's high end there.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's pretty normal.
And then you, and then the golf course. That's like one of the only open to the public driving ranges in Hampton too, right? I think that's still there.
Yeah, you can go anytime. There's like a vending machine. You can get a coin and get your buckets. So
Nice.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, if you just need to kick back and hit balls, yeah, that's a good place. I think Chestatee does something like that, maybe, but I like the Hampton for that reason. You just go up there whenever you want and hit balls.
Are you a golfer?
I'm not, but I can golf for sure. I'm going to say this. You might need to edit this out. I like golf. I like being with the guys. I don't like golfers.
No, I can
Right.
see that.
I don't like the outfits. I don't like the chit chat that'll play. I just like going out and hanging out with guys. So my dad is actually a ranger up there, so I'll play with him. When I can.
Wait, your dad is a ranger?
Yeah, he's up there at the course.
What is a ranger?
He basically gets in his golf cart and goes the opposite direction,
Yeah.
and then he'll flag you and he's an old guy and he's angry, so he will flag you if you're playing too slow.
So he's the golf police then.
Yeah,
I'm not a golf guy, hence me not knowing
Yeah.
what the hell a ranger was.
if it's rainy and it's car path only where you can't go onto the course, he'll he'll just yank your keys out of your golf cart and make you walk back. But he'll be wearing a Bill's hat probably if you ever go up there.
Does he cut you any breaks though? If you're driving like an asshole on the golf course, will he let you go?
He's pretty much that way with everybody.
What about Phil there? Who was the more problematic child growing up?
Yeah, 100% Phil.
Are you just saying that, or is it pretty even?
No, it's 100%. Like I'm the youngest, so by the time I got around I look at my kids and like super stressed out with the oldest one, like
That's
you
good,
know,
yeah.
and so by the time the little one comes, you're kind of like you've been to all the events, and we all my kids are thankfully into different things, so we kind of spread it around between basketball and cheer. So I like that our history has been that we could juggle that sort of thing without being too involved. So like Nate played sports, so that was good, but with Phil, he was the middle kid, and so it was easy for me because he would do something screwy, and I would get off clean, like no problem. Even today, like he's the one. He'll admit it though.
Wasn't that the middle child syndrome, right? They got to act out to get attention.
Yeah, he didn't really act out. He was just super dumb. But for any potential owners listening, he is a very good property manager. He'll give you the sales pitch. He knows what he's doing. We know what we're doing. So I trust him with the work stuff. But like, we love the Bills. Like we have that in common. But he's a car guy. I'm not. Like I don't know anything about cars, despite what I drove up in. It's just he's a metal guy, like all that, and I'm more of a accountant, computer, video game guy. But growing up, we were best friends. I mean, we hung out all the time. But if you had to ask, my dad would probably favor my sister.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the easy one. Speaking of the car that you drove up in, for the listeners, it was a Cybertruck, and it is dope. And can I get a ride at the Cybertruck at some point?
You may drive it. Yeah.
Are you serious? Oh my God, that would be amazing.
For sure, because people are interested in it or they really hate it, and they're quick to point that out. I think I emailed maybe TJ the first time because he said he was behind me at some point.
Yeah.
And it's usually that person I referenced in the email that doesn't like me. But yeah, technically you don't drive it. You just hit a button and it will drive you. That's, it drove me here. But yeah, 100%. You could drive it, see it.
I'm going to take you up on that. Yeah. My wife is one of those people. She hates the Cybertruck. She's not a big Elon Musk fan, which I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge Elon Musk fan because I think he's a super smart guy. And what I will say about him is he gets shit done, like arguably nobody else. I'll give him that credit. I do wonder sometimes, I'm like, dude, can you just stay in your lane and shut the hell up sometimes? Yeah. But I love the Cybertruck. And I wanted to get one, but my wife put her foot down. That
she should drive it.
The Cybertruck.
If she drive, yeah, because that's how my wife was. I did it more of a goof on my nephews, so I drove just a regular Model Y. And I would always tell her this thing's like an iPhone. You get in it and it just works like it's supposed to. Like it drives right. It's when you use voice control, it works. All these things. So the Cybertruck's the same exact way. Like I drive the truck now, and my nephews at the time when you could pre-order them just randomly, and it was like a 2-year wait. I did that. We were at like a family dinner, and I said they were making fun of the other car, and they're like, "When are you going to get a real car?" And electric's garbage and all this stuff. And of course, they drive these big hillbilly trucks that we see, and so I said, "I'm going to get a Cybertruck. You guys have these dumb raised redneck trucks," and they're admittedly rednecks. So, and I said, "I'm going to get it." And they're like, "No, you're not." So I just pre-ordered it as I was sitting there. Didn't think about it. It was like $100, $200, something crazy, and didn't think about it. Then like literally 2 years later, I get some random email like, "Hey, your VIN is ready."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, at the time though, they were so new, people were still interested or intrigued at least. Yeah. So I remember going down to Tesla and looking at it, and there was a guy sitting there. I mean, it was just parked out there and had kind of my name on like a little piece of paper. And I said to the guy, I said, "Are you getting one of these?" And I said, "No." I said, "Is this yours?" And he's like, "No, I think," and I said, "Oh, that's mine. Like, that's got my name on." But he offered to buy it right then and there.
And then I got the thing where we're like, "No, that's my truck."
Yeah. And then I was, for a second, I was like, I told Marilyn, I said, he wants to give me like 10,000 just to take it. And he may have been an athlete or something. And I was like, "Should we do it?" She's like, "Really?" And then it just got to be kind of a hassle. So I was like, "Okay, I'll just take it." And then driving it home, like any new car, you're like, "Wow, this is a lot." Like you don't want to like, but now with the self-drive, like if you've never self-driven a car, yeah, conceptually, like I don't trust it. Like that's crazy. And then you do it, you'll never go back.
Yeah.
Like so if you go in it, I'll just tell you, pull up an address, hit the button, and just watch what it does, and you'll be amazed.
I saw that in Atlanta is now going to be one of the newer cities that gets the Waymo taxis. This is the fully driverless taxis. You order them on an app, a car shows up, there are no humans in the car, nobody's monitoring it. It's full, there's a level 3 self-driving or whatever it is. It'll just pick you up and drive you off. That's the future. It's crazy.
Well, so they have that now in Austin. They just did that this week with the Teslas, and I don't know if you guys follow the stock market, like Tesla stock, like crazy over the last 2 days. I don't know what it did today, but they're showing all these videos, and I can attest to that. Like just driving it, now to your point with Elon and Trump and some of the other nonsense and some of the political stuff. I say nonsense, just the swirl, like you said. Yeah, it's not great. I try not to make eye contact with people because it's just a car. Like I'm not trying to make a statement. I'm just trying to get to work. Like, but when I first got it was these young kids with the macked out trucks.
Yeah.
That were like, you could just tell they're like, "Bro, that's not a truck." One guy, I was coming to work off of Pilgrim Mill, and just flipped me the bird.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't cut him off. I'm going the other way. He's at a light turning towards Lanier, and I don't know what it was in the morning, but I'm like, man, I don't think I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not like a road trade guy, but I'm like, he's at the light turning. So I floor it, which this thing is super fast.
Yeah.
So at this point you took over.
Yeah. I was like, I hit it. Cause when you're self-drive, it's kind of mellow. You can set it to like chill, which is speed limit, standard, which is like 5 miles over, whatnot. And then aggressive, where it'll start changing lanes. And then if you've never done that, you're like, wow, this thing is really working. Like it's changing lanes, it's getting me there where I need to go. But Yeah, I just punched it and flipped a U-turn before it was so fast. Before on Pilgrim Road, like right in front of the aquatic center. And I was on his back before the light even changed.
Yeah.
And I just thought, yeah, like, why are you flipping me off, man? Like, I just want to roll the window down and say, like, it's just a truck, man.
Yeah.
We can still be friends. Like,
oh, that's how I feel. Yeah. It's just, and I think the Teslas in particular are funny to me because prior to the Trump and whatever else is going on, Tesla was like every liberal's best friend, right? The electric cars, the climate change. Everybody loves the idea of Teslas and getting rid of the fossil fuel vehicles. Then Elon comes out, he aligns himself with Donald Trump, and now people are putting swastikas on Teslas. It's nuts, man. And that's what there are many people listening to this podcast in our fantasy football group. And Andres, you and I are a little bit more on the left side of things, but I love these people. And I hate that politics has become so, it sounds like cliche to say it, but so divisive. Like you're supposed to dislike people if they have a different political opinion, or some random guy driving a Tesla, you're going to flip him off for what? You don't know anything about the way that guy thinks.
Yeah.
It's
Especially when you tell your story, you put $100, $200 down as like a couple of years ago. It was like nothing to do with anything.
No. And it's like, and again, it was a flex to my nephews who my sister immediately texted me like, you're an idiot. What loser buys that truck? So my own sister. And so, already I'm kind of like on edge. And then I just started noticing like people like, yeah, it's very polarizing. And it's like, but if you get in it, you guys like drive it and just see. And
my son and I are both extremely pro Cybertruck, and my son really wants me to get one. I think my daughter's indifferent, but my wife's like, you are not allowed to buy a Cybertruck. So
you should drive her in it and show her.
I'm going to take her.
Yeah.
I would love to get one.
Yeah.
All right. So there's no more neighborhood news, Andres, unless you want to talk about the 4th of July parade.
I wasn't even aware. I mean, I think I saw something, but no, we'll be at Matt's party at the pool for that day.
You're not going to be riding your bike in the parade?
I don't think so.
No. What about the 14-year-old son? Is he going to put the streamers on?
I
Do
don't
a
think
color
so.
guard?
No, I don't think we've done that in the last couple of years.
All right. Speaking of the 14-year-olds, we'll move on to local news here. Todd, can you stick around for local news, or you got anywhere to go?
I love local news, sure.
All right. The Forsyth County Board of Education has banned cell phones for grades K through 12. There is a little carve out. If you're a high school student, you're allowed to use cell phones during your lunch hour. But for kindergarten through 8th grade, cell phone use is completely banned. That'll be interesting. I'm kind of curious to see how the kids do without being able to use their phones in class. I mean, my kids are addicted to phones. I'm just going to straight up say it. They absolutely are addicted to phones. So I 100% support the move. I think it's a good idea.
I mean, states from California to Florida, they've been banning this stuff. It's like, this is the whole political spectrum. Everybody agrees. It's horrible having phones out.
I'm surprised we're behind the times then. Sounds like we're getting into the game late. You think your kids will be all right with it?
Yeah. Well, Everett doesn't even have a phone yet. He'll probably get one for his birthday in July. But the fact that he's never even experienced it, so he won't even notice a difference. Yeah. And Austin, he does a good job of keeping it away.
Now, Todd, you got 3, right? And 2 of them, one in Georgia, one in Florida, and you got one going into senior year of high school?
No, she just graduated, so she'll go to she's going to Flagler in St. Augustine.
Oh, that's
She'll
right.
be a freshman.
All right. So they're all out of the Forsyth County schools then at this point.
Yeah.
You think they would have done all right? Did they have phone addiction?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they would have done all right. My little one is it was weird. You think about it, but you don't. I think all your kids are younger, right, than mine.
I got a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, and he has a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Almost 11 yet.
So those are good ages because you can have conversations with them. They still into activities and this and that. Like as they get
you haven't met my children, by the way. But anyway, go on.
You'd be surprised as they get older. The problems become bigger. Like where so they're full grown adults, right? Which is harder as a parent, but. I never really thought about this for my kids, but like my little one really at one point she said there was a legitimate fear about going to school and the safety and some of the things you see and the shootings and all that, where the other two, and I know the schools up here do a great job with that sort of thing, but that would be probably her concern, like not having access to a phone to call us if something happened or something. But I always thought it was just she didn't like school, but until she finally said, like, I just don't feel safe there. And, that's a whole different conversation, but that would be, my only take, like, how do they do that?
So they did say that you can still have phones. They have to be powered off. Now you're in an emergency, right? Powering on the phone is a pain in the ass. It takes a minute, but you are allowed to carry the device with you. You just can't have it turned on during the school day.
Yeah. I think it's like phones now. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was talking about like kids and anxiety and things like that. And I think you guys were talking about like how much easier or harder it is. And she raised a good point. This is the dean of students at UNG talking about how these kids have been online their whole life, like from the time their mom posted a picture of their sonogram, right? Like, and so like the phones at school, you make a mistake, like you're living with that, like, and so it's hard. Like you see your kids on TikTok and all this stuff. I just tell them, don't text me on TikTok or don't share those videos. Like, I'm my dad now with that kind of stuff.
So now with Platinum, do you have like a social media team? Who's running all that stuff for Platinum? Does that really not even happen from a social media perspective?
Good question. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. That's something we've thrown out to our kids. Like, hey, right, this is what you're best at, like social media stuff. Like, we'll pay you to do that. And all we're telling you to post is like, Happy 4th of July from Platinum. Something, completely, harmless and easy. We'll post the blogs and that sort of thing. But so far, no kid has jumped at the chance to work for us and do that. I think it's much easier just for mom to buy the Starbucks.
So phones are banned. They're out, guys, and kids do have it shitty. I want to talk to you towards the end, Todd. I don't know. I think all of our kids are going to be renting if they can ever even afford to live in Forsyth County going forward. But we'll come back to that. Next in the local news, Felony Friday, Andres' favorite social media title over there. Are you still miffed about Felony Friday, Andres?
A little bit.
You do understand that it is felony, like charged Felony Friday, right? Not convicted Felony Friday.
Yeah. Well, we talked last week. It just seems like it's biasing, or it causes bias on whoever is being charged against them.
I can see that.
It's kind of like even like back in the day, we used to watch Cops. At the very end, they have the disclaimer: everybody's proven so guilty in the court of law. So at least say that.
So this one was a pretty fun Felony Friday. So there were 4 guys that were on a boat. Here, I'll read what the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office had to say. Usually our Felony Fridays are on land, but not today's. Our crime-fighting machine took to the water this time. See what I'm saying, Andres, about them being all quippy and sarcastic and funny? This is their normal tone. On Sunday, June 8th, while patrolling Lake Lanier, our Marine units received a complaint of a party barge playing loud music and possibly using illegal drugs. Off they went to investigate, and they brought along friends from the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. I don't know why the DNR would be there. What would their role be in a party boat?
They patrol the lake. They're the ones that patrol the lake. If you get a BUI, it's them.
It's the DNR?
Yeah.
I thought there were actual Forsyth County sheriff's boats out there. I did not know that. So they're like actually badged law enforcement officers?
I know it's a weird, interesting name, Natural Resources, but that's what they do.
Yeah, I thought that, and I'm not trying to be like demeaning. I thought they, maintain the parks and stuff like Army Corps of Engineer stuff, but they're actually law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, at any rate, the DNR came across a party barge on the north end of Three Sisters Island, and there were 25 people in the boat. As the DNR began the safety check of the boat, 2 guys jumped off of it and ran into the woods.
Into the woods of one of those small islands?
Yeah, that wasn't very well thought through, was it? Unless they were planning on like swimming through the other side. Actually, it says here a little bit further down, it seems that the men just went to stash some of their cocaine and nitrous oxide canisters in the woods. So maybe they weren't trying to escape. They were just trying to hide evidence temporarily. But back on the barge, deputies and DNR rangers located numerous nitrous oxide canisters, balloons used for whippets, more cocaine, and multiple ecstasy pills. So I don't know if either of you guys know, what the hell is a whippet? I'm not even
those
familiar
balloons
with
that you inhale. You get like a 30-second very big high, but it's very short-lived.
I thought that was nitrous oxide.
I think it's the same thing.
Oh, it is. Just a different delivery mechanism?
You can use a kind of Cool Whip, and you hit the nozzle to where it doesn't discharge any Cool Whip. And that's the same thing. I used to work at an ice cream place. The college kids were doing that.
Okay, so basically the same thing, but different way of getting the nitrous oxide, I guess. More cocaine, multiple ecstasy pills. 4 people. I guess this is not a good ratio. If there were 25 people on the boat, only 4 people are arrested. 32-year-old, this is going to be really challenging, Ngok Lee of Norcross. 27-year-old Eric Lee, that was an easier one. 36-year-old Duck Bowie and 28-year-old Kwok Tran of Lawrenceville were arrested for multiple felony possession charges. I'm a little upset that I was not on the boat. Not that I wanted to do cocaine or nitrous oxide. I don't even know what a whippet is, but it sounds like it was probably a pretty fun party.
You wanted the ecstasy, that's why.
Not the ecstasy either, no. Just I'm enjoying my Diet Coke right now. But you're on the lake a lot, Andres. Do you ever see these party barges going?
Yeah, you definitely see people getting rowdy, but you don't know for sure. I mean, this seems wild. 30, was it 30? How many people were there?
So 25
people. That would be super noticeable. Yeah, if there's so many drugs, they're probably all out of control.
Is a party barge the same thing as a houseboat?
I would think so. I would think so.
What about you, Todd? Are you a lake guy? You ever get out there?
Man, I was just thinking about that. Like, Lake Lanier is no joke. Like, the amount of people they're yanking out of there, I would not go in that place sober, let alone hopped up. And I mean, I don't know what's going on there. Like, it seems like you'd have more stories about that.
Well, I have
coming out of Lake Lanier.
I have people at work that talk to me about that when they find out I'm from, the Forsyth County area. They're like, is that near Lake Lanier?
Yeah.
It seems to be one of the few things people know about Georgia. They're like, what do you think's going on? Isn't it weird that all those people die on Lake Lanier? And I'm like, if you go on Lake Lanier any Saturday or Sunday, you'll understand it instantly. It's not weird at all. Frankly, I'm surprised it's as few as it is.
Yeah. Phil's got a boat. He goes out there. So there you go. I've eaten it, the one you may be about to reference too.
The biryani pot.
No, I've not eaten there. Maybe there's a newer one.
So there were 2 that received failing grades in the latest run of inspections. Biryani pot scored a 36, and we'll come to why it scored a 36. And then Blue Tuna in Halcyon got a 60.
I've been there. That's the one.
So I'll tell you this. I didn't even write the notes down on Blue Tuna because I remember reading through it. I'm like, this is kind of ticky-tacky crap. I do remember actually one specifically for Blue Tuna was that they got dinged because one of their employees hopped a counter. And they're like, that counter is where customers are served their food. And it's like, okay, I guess you shouldn't do that. But if I knew that a employee was hopping the counter to get back there more quickly, that's not going to turn me off from going to the restaurant. So I think you're okay. Blue Tuna, you can continue going to, Todd. But biryani pot, are you a fan of Indian food?
I am not.
Okay, but I think you're going to be okay.
But I've not had a ton of it.
So let's go through a couple of the highlights on here. Actually, the one that was interesting to me, they were dinged for, this is exactly what's written, Todd. The manager on duty failed to demonstrate managerial control. And I just wonder, like, what's the metric for that? How do you determine that somebody does have managerial control? Like, I'm wondering if there was open rebellion. The employees were not listening to him. He was trying to get the employees to address some of these issues that the health inspectors were finding, and they were just outright defying him. But it must have been bad enough that the health department actually noted that the manager on duty did not have managerial control of the establishment.
I would argue that the folks at Platinum might say that about me. So maybe I'll ask them.
Yeah, get back to us. Let us know what their opinion on there. But here, a couple of highlights. There was no measurable sanitizer present in the establishment. I feel like that's important.
You just skipped over even worse one. Raw chicken in cardboard boxes while thawing in the mop sink.
Yep.
That is salmonella. Saying hello.
Can we look on the bright side, Andres? They did have a mop sink.
Where the chicken is sitting.
They shouldn't have the chicken in there. But when you get a 36, I would expect the mop to be in the hand washing sink. And it wasn't. They had a mop sink. I'm going to give them some credit there where they stored the chicken too. It was a mop/chicken sink. Then here's 2 conflicting ones because they said there was no measurable sanitizer present in the establishment. But then they also got dinged for having unlabeled chemical spray bottles in the establishment. Maybe one of those was sanitizer. Could have had it. They just didn't know which one was which. The previous inspection report was kept more than 5 feet from customers' view, and I think I understand why. And then another nice one I liked, a decorative bowl, this is actually written in the report, a decorative bowl and Home Depot buckets were used to store food.
Gosh.
So biryani pot. Is this the one that's off Bethelview?
I think it's 9 in Bethelview.
Okay.
behind the moat, like behind that shopping center.
Yeah.
I think I'm not 100% sure.
And I do like Indian food, but I will not be going to.
And I like
biryani.
Chinese food. And you know where I'm not going.
Yeah, Happy Family and biryani pot, they're off the list. Don't want exoskeletons or mopped chicken in my meals. Aside from the restaurant scores, as Todd pointed out, a lot of positive restaurant scores, but we're not going to cover that. We're only going to tell you when they really shit the bed. And that was just biryani pot and a little bit of blue tuna. Get it together, blue tuna, because you're a pretty good establishment. And a 60's not great, but it's not bad enough that you're banned from anybody.
Any 95s or higher, shoot him over to TJ. Maybe he can get some sponsors.
Yeah.
But it won't be only 95s or higher.
And then a quick silly one. There was a Montessori school. I feel like this is the one that's up the street from us, Andres. And I saw this in real time on Focus on.
I saw it and I was like, this is really, like you're saying, pretty silly.
Yeah.
People getting, she should, okay, go ahead and give the backstory.
It's a short backstory, but there was a lady on one of the local Forsyth County groups. Are you on these Forsyth County groups, Todd? Like Focus on Forsyth and Forsyth Local?
Sometimes like our Hampton one is, it's like a Hampton Facebook. It's a bit brutal.
That alone will just do you in. Yeah.
Like you read it and you're like, wow, like
Todd, we'll talk offline. I'm going to need you to send me some of the Hampton Facebook drama so we can add it into the local neighborhood.
Oh, for
news
sure. Yeah,
show notes.
there's a couple of people that.
That's how we'll expand.
Okay. Yeah.
We got a lock on the Thorngate drama and gossip. Now we can cover Hampton. We'll find some people like down the street in Siena, things like that.
Yeah,
We'll get all the neighborhoods.
I mean, we have neighborhoods all over the city, so we got you covered.
Oh man, you are an asset. We can hang out in the outdoor party area. We're gonna do this seance at Platinum. Now we're gonna get the HOA access. It's killer. But this lady, she posted on Focus on Forsyth. I think it was Focus on Forsyth, and she was very proud of herself because she was driving past a Montessori school. And you know how those schools or churches, they have the little individual letters. You can do a little message on the board that changes. And there's a Montessori saying, and I will put my hand up. I didn't know this, but I believe the saying, I'm going to paraphrase, is education is a child's best weapon to fight ignorance, something along those lines, right? Something like that. And this lady didn't like the word weapon, at a school with children, and she felt there was a, connotation there, I guess, or something she didn't like. So she went and she removed the word weapon, right? Which, whatever, I would not have done that. But if you're going to do it, I guess knock yourself out. But then she went on Facebook and posted pictures of her removing the word weapon from the sign. And the comments that I saw before the thread was locked are all like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do it, don't admit to it. This is dumb. Kind of a silly stand to take. Well, that led to a police report being filed on her. And I think our boys in the FCSO gave her a break. There was a criminal trespassing complaint filed, but they basically brushed it off and said, hey, don't do this again.
We've toyed with getting one of those signs for our building because it's so much traffic, and I've told Phil that's the same thing. Like, you don't know what you're waking up to the next day, and somebody's jumbled up your ladders. Like,
yeah, it would be me too.
Yeah.
I would drive by. I would put some messages on there.
oh yeah,
I
and
promise you.
somebody does that, then you're suspicious about everybody. Like he still wants to do that. So maybe if you see it up there, that's his doing, and you can feel free to rearrange it.
Well, Phil, if you're listening, when you put that sign up, I'm coming for it. And then speaking of enterprising teenagers who could help out at Platinum and the Wrong Way Roundabouts, how about this guy, William Chadwick Jones? This kid was 16 years old, I believe. I didn't write it in the notes, but I'm pretty sure he was 16.
Is he friends with your Eagles or your Boy Scout?
John Theed?
Yeah.
No, this guy's far more enterprising and successful than John Theed. John Theed has every merit badge but can't be an Eagle Scout. William Chadwick Jones just pled guilty to scamming a bank out of $500,000. He was arrested in a Porsche that he bought with his fraudulent money. Now, I feel like I have to say that you shouldn't defraud banks or anybody for that matter, but it's impressive, right? Everybody watched that movie Catch Me If You Can, and we were impressed with Leonardo DiCaprio's ingenuity at pulling off these scams. So this kid is 16, and he had 5 counterfeit checks deposited into a Synovus business account totaling $545,770. So after he deposited them, he then laundered the money, essentially, through various wire transfers, Zelle, debit card purchases, etc. And here's the best part. He used some... This is funny, Billy Chadwick. Some of the funds were reportedly used to pay a criminal attorney retainer tied to a previous fraud arrest.
Oh gosh, that's so good.
So it was not his first rodeo. He was charged with fraud before, maybe on a felony Friday, Andres, we don't know. And he defrauded another bank to pay the lawyer for his first fraud charge. Another one of the large transfers went towards the purchase of a Porsche, which he was in when he was arrested.
500,000.
Well, and not just that, as a second, he only got 120 hours community service. That's lucky. So it's because he's a minor.
Oh, so the 500, we're no payback on that. Just the.
It didn't mention it in the article. I would assume that's got to be part of the plea agreement, is that he's going to pay back the money.
I guess if he has it still, maybe.
Right.
But like, I'll tell you where we are, fraud is by far the biggest challenge.
No, I could believe it. Yeah.
I mean, they're counterfeiting IDs for sure. We use Plaid now, which is, a lot of people use it, but like where they can verify the ID. But it used to be you would never be able to pass a certified check, like a certified funds. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of fraud out there. So if you're like self-managing, there's no way to figure that out.
And I'm assuming you're running credit reports for potential tenants. You're running through background screening services. You can actually get verified address history. These are all things that the average guy trying to self-manage his property is not going to have ready access to. Or frankly, even if they use a fly-by-night online service, they're not going to have any guarantee of the quality of the results.
Yeah. That's, if you ever look at our reviews, it's a lot of applicants that we've quote unquote stole their money. And I respond to all those. I don't use AI. I respond to every single review we get, but that is one that just drives me crazy because I do want to put in there, well, wait a minute. Like your credit score was 400. You had all the stuff that we uncovered that maybe they didn't think we were going to uncover, but we definitely sent it over to the homeowner and it's like, we dodged a bullet for sure. But our reputation just took a hit, and I mean, this kid could cure cancer, but he's trying to outsystem the system, and it's like you just want to say, "Come on, let's reset." I'm gonna give you a chance to just kind of.
So would you be willing to give William Chadwick Jones a shot when he gets off of probation in 5 years? He's enterprising.
I mean, you know what? I have been trying to dabble in teaching kids like financial literacy. That's kind of my side passion project. So like I want to know what these kids know, and my kids were not prepared for paying their own bills and this and that, and they didn't understand a lot of that stuff. And I think that's partially our fault as parents, me specifically with Meredith, but we also the only goal for parents is your kids be better than you are.
Yeah.
And my kids are already there, so I'm good with that. But yeah, that is completely interesting to me that kid at 16 is so savvy and he knows the banking system and all that.
He might be able to teach you something.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Now I use my powers for good.
You don't want to learn what you don't want to learn what he's teaching.
No, we're we've been audited by the Real Estate Commission, and thankfully did very well with that. But I don't know. Like that's on one hand very enterprising, on one hand very scary.
Yeah. So we'll I know we're running long here, so I'm only gonna pick one more local news story, and then we'll move on. We'll talk a little bit of national news, and then we'll get to the wrap up. But the local news I'm gonna pick here, because I actually had this on a previous show notes that got bumped. First off, the Fox 5 I team, these are the ones that they'll go out and they do the investigative scam reporting. They ever show up at the haunted house, Todd, like pull the blinds down.
Oh no, I'd love to talk to those guys. I would love it. Like, oh, really? You're coming at us? Like, let me give you the backstory on who hired you or who called you. Oh, for sure, I'd love to do that. There's been people that have threatened us with that for sure, and I'm like, do we really want to talk to the news about what you have going on?
Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get the chance to do that because actually Fox disbanded the I team. It's gone. The whole unit is no more.
Wow, that's
disappointing.
end of an era. Yeah,
it is the end of an era. Josh would have never gotten his car back without the I team.
that was CBS.
Whatever. They're all the same thing.
Are they the ones that did the potholes too?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah, actually they were, because I remember reading an article about this on the AJC that was one of their more famous stories, was the pothole story. But Randy Travis, who was like the CEO of the I team, he was always the guy on air that you heard from. With the I team being disbanded, he is running for the Lawrenceville City Council against a guy named Austin Thompson. I read a statement by Randy Travis. He says he has no particular issues with Randy Thompson. He's not running to unseat him in particular. He just thinks he has, some ideas for positive Lawrenceville city government. So very magnanimous running position. Seems like a nice guy. But I'll tell you, if I were Austin Thompson and the guy running against me was Randy Travis from the I-team, I'd be shitting myself. That guy's good at digging up dirt.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was it. Andres, national news. Moving on here. We got two of them. We're going to skip. I had a note here about we appear to be at war with Iran, but I think we're not as of today. I don't know.
It keeps fluctuating.
Yeah, there was Trump
ceasefire, but then they both said no ceasefire. Israel and Iran. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a ceasefire that Trump announced, and then Iran and Israel announced that they would abide by it.
Well, Iran did. Israel was mum. And then Iran's like, well, Israel didn't say anything, so we're not going to be a part of the ceasefire.
Netanyahu did say he was going to abide by it, but kind of regardless, both Iran and Israel have broken the ceasefire. So I'm not sure where we are now. I don't know if you're keeping up with any of this, Todd. I don't know if we're at war or not.
My wife asked me about it, and I don't want to bury my head in the sand with bad news typically, but I showed her Trump's post on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I think that made the rounds.
So I'm like,
you saw it?
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
No,
it sounds like it sounds like it's covered.
Hopefully we're not at war. If we are and anything happens, it's been a pleasure talking with you, gentlemen, and remember us fondly. But there you go, Iran. That one's wrapped up, so that one's easy. Alligator Alcatraz. Have you guys heard about this one?
I just saw a little headline today, but I didn't actually read the story.
So obviously, ICE has been in the news a lot. They're out there. They're detaining undocumented or illegal immigrants, however you want to phrase it. So they are opening up a new illegal immigrant detention center that's officially named the Miami-Dade Collier Training Facility, but it is being unofficially named by the Florida Attorney General, even. So not just like a news talking head, as the Alligator Alcatraz. This is an abandoned airfield in the Everglades, the Florida swamps. And here's a direct quote from the Florida Attorney General that I thought was funny. If somebody were to get out, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Only the alligators and pythons are waiting. And then the follow-along quote, where I guess he's justifying the position of it, or the placement. Alligator Alcatraz presents an efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility because you don't need to invest that much in the perimeter. With the implication, obviously, being that the alligators and pythons will provide the security for you. So yeah, it's going to be built. It's going to be built in the middle of the Everglades, and it would be interesting if people attempt to escape from this facility. I don't think alligators and pythons are as aggressive as the Florida AG thinks that they are. I don't think they're hunting men out there, right? I don't know. This guy probably knows more than me about Florida wildlife.
Yeah, I don't know much about pythons, but I think if you get near an alligator, if you splash their water, I think they'll come at you.
Are they not like snakes where they're trying to get away from you? They'll fight back aggressively?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. So maybe they're right then.
I believe so. I'm not 100, but the python, I don't know. They usually chill on the trees, and then they'll have one meal every 2 months, like a big, I don't know, big meal, and then they just digest it. But yeah, alligators or crocodiles, they'll mess with you.
Can a python eat a human?
Oh yeah, those things are humongous.
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew they were big. I didn't think they could eat humans.
I'm pretty sure they'll strangle. Yeah,
squeeze them.
Yeah, they might. I guess that's the problem. They might try, and then the python might be like, "Ah, shit, I can't eat this guy." But at that point, you're already dead.
Yeah.
All right, Alligator Alcatraz, stay away from it. And our final national news. I've been trying to talk about this this will be the third episode I've tried to bring this up now, Andres. Karen Reed. You guys familiar with the story? Is Meredith familiar with the story, Todd?
I've seen her dabble in it. If Dateline's on, she's usually watching it. So the other night I saw her on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Karen Reed was found not guilty by a jury of her peers after an initial mistrial. I think it was back in 2022.
If it had been Felony Friday, it might be a different story.
It's true.
See?
Do you know the details of this?
Yeah. Well,
case?
I know I don't know the ins and outs, but I know the gist of it.
Yeah. And the gist of it is that
It was
Karen
a cover
Reed,
up.
is claiming that her boyfriend's cop friends murdered him. Well, I shouldn't say murdered.
No, she did. I thought she did kill him, but in self-defense, and that he used to beat her and they would all cover for him.
No, you were on a different true crime drama, sir. That's
Okay.
not what happened.
That was OJ, I think. Free the juice.
Karen Reed, no. So what happened was her boyfriend was a police officer. They went to a party together, and then they got into a verbal altercation. And she left the house, or she left the bar that they were at. And her version of events is that she went home from the bar, and her boyfriend stayed at the bar, and then she basically never saw him again until the next morning when he was found dead in front of a friend's house. Right. The prosecution's version of the story is that the boyfriend traveled in the car with Karen Reed away from the bar, and then in a jealous rage, she ran him over intentionally with the car, right? But Karen Reed's version of events is that she wasn't even with him after she left the bar, and that he went back to a house party with his police friends. And then what happened there, obviously, nobody really knows. But I'll tell you, one of the key pieces of evidence is that there was a mutual friend of Karen Reed and the boyfriend who was killed. But this friend made a Google search, and this was presented as evidence in the trial, on how long does it take for someone to die in the cold. And she made this Google search at 2:30 in the morning, on the morning that the boyfriend was found, right? But the boyfriend was not found until 7:30 in the morning, 5 hours later. So this mutual friend was searching for how long it takes for people to die in the cold 5 hours before they'd even found the dead body in the cold. And then there were several other things. Like they said that he was hit by the car, but there was no indication that he was hit by a car. There was no damage on the car. But then later they found pieces of a broken taillight that were at the site after a second investigation. The body that had allegedly been out in the cold all night. The clothing wasn't wet or frozen. It looked like he'd been placed there. All sorts of interesting things. So I guess the defense's theory is that somebody else killed the boyfriend, whether it was accidentally or intentionally. But yeah, she was acquitted. So she is completely off. It's an interesting case. There was a Netflix documentary or an HBO documentary, I think. I'm going to have to watch it now.
Yeah, like I saw the Google search, and I'm thinking that seems like it'd be an easy thing to, because, with OJ, it was like, well, who is it then? Like, this seems like you've got a lot of other options. And I have not heard of any since. Like, if she's, now do they pivot and go after the gal who did the Google search? Or
they're all cops, though. So I mean, that's the subtext of the case, right? That they're protecting their own. So I guarantee nothing comes out of it at this point. That's true. So we're done with national news, Andres. Anything I missed, sir, that you can think of?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, why don't we start to put a wrap on this episode? I do want to thank Todd Earley for coming in from Platinum Property Management. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. You've proven your Buffalo chops, sir.
Yeah, no, appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, you guys are, like I said in the email, like the pod's killing it, like really good. I don't know if the neighbors are busting you guys for not, but yeah, happy to support it. Like, throwing this out to anybody listening. We're typically happy to support a lot of things in Forsyth. So if somebody,
if you want to plug your website, any social media handles, whatever, go ahead.
Yeah, it's platinumrentalproperty.com. We're on Facebook, same. Our Instagram is platinum_PM_. That's fairly new. So yeah.
Phone number?
678-710. I never call it 8056. So
there you go.
Yeah, but like I said, just pop in. We're right up the street from you guys here. A lot of history in that building if you guys ever want to learn about that. So appreciate you guys having me for sure.
Todd Lusted, like you think that I was joking? I'm dead serious about this Halloween October timeframe seance in the Platinum Building. Are you in for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're gonna book it. This is gonna be fun. And now we're gonna talk to the league about doing the draft in your backyard set up there.
Yeah, if you swing by, you can just look in the garage. I don't even have to be there. Just pull in, see what I'm talking about.
All right, cool.
All right, I'm gonna come by. Todd, again, thank you, sir. Appreciate you having on. We'll have you on again if you're willing to come back here. It's been fun talking.
Thanks for the swag too.
Yeah, for sure. Got you some koozies in there. Bill's Mafia. You got a platinum shirt. You're gonna just have to share.
And Andres, next time we do Jeopardy, I will pick out topics that are close to your heart. You're just gonna give me some clues on what it is.
We could do Atlanta or Medellin, either one.
Okay. I'll give you Todd had a little bit of an edge this time. I'll concede that.
All right.
All right. Well, then we're wrapping up again. Thanks to Todd Earley for a Platinum Property Management. If you guys do have property management needs, certainly hit him up. Super nice dude. Does several houses in the neighborhood already, including our neighbor 2 doors down. Hello, Chris Sorensen. But that's it for the pod today. See you guys in the chat.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Now we're singing this tune to avoid lawsuits. NFL execs got me quaking in my boots. Sorry, Sir Elton, it was just a joke. Jon and Andres don't want none of that smoke. It's the wrong way roundabouts.